If moments of bravery inspire you, hit subscribe. You'll enjoy what's coming. It took place aboard the USS Resolute, a carrier known not only for its steel decks, but for the legends that walked them. Among its newest arrivals was Lieutenant Commander Mara Hale, a quiet, razor-focused officer whose file read like an encrypted riddle. She had no social circles, no loud entrances, no boastful stories, just a reputation whispered through the fleet: efficient, unshakable, dangerously competent.
And then there was Admiral Rourke. Decorated, charismatic, and widely respected, but carrying the one flaw that corrodes authority from within: pride sharpened by age, and a belief that no junior officer could possibly match his legacy. To him, teasing was harmless tradition, his way of breaking in new arrivals. The conflict began during a high-level briefing in the carrier's war room. The air hummed with tension as flight paths, satellite captures, and threat projections filled the holographic displays. Officers stood at attention, waiting for the Admiral's directives. Then, Rourke's eyes landed on Mara. His grin widened. "So, Lieutenant Commander Hale," he said, leaning back in his chair, voice dripping with jest, "your service record is heavily redacted. Why don't you tell the room something light? What's your kill count?" Laughter rippled, uneasy, forced. Everyone knew it was meant as a joke. But Mara didn't move, didn't blink. And in that stillness, something ancient and disciplined stirred. The room went silent. What she said next would echo far beyond that steel chamber.
The Admiral waited, expecting a shy shrug, a polite deflection, anything that confirmed his dominance. Instead, Mara lifted her eyes. They were steady, cold, and impossibly calm. "Admiral," she said, her voice cutting through the room like a clean blade, "my confirmed engagements stand at 37. Chairs stopped shifting, pens froze mid-page, even the ventilation seemed to hesitate. But she wasn't finished. "Unconfirmed," she continued, "are 12. Those remain unclaimed out of respect for the teams who were present." A sharp crack of silence broke across the room. You could almost feel the collective breath collapse. 37 confirmed? 12 unclaimed? Those numbers weren't standard. Those were the kind spoken by ghosts, operators from units that officially didn't exist. The Admiral's smirk evaporated instantly, like a flame doused in ice water. His eyes widened, not in disbelief, but in recognition, because he knew those figures, and he knew exactly what kind of warrior could carry them. The moment her words settled, the room felt different, charged, reverent almost, fragile. Officers who had moments earlier snickered under their breath now stood frozen, their expressions shifting to awe and uncertainty. Even the screens casting tactical maps seemed dimmer, as though the ship itself was holding its breath. Admiral Rourke swallowed hard. The color had drained from his face, leaving him rigid with the realization that the joke he had intended was nothing but a declaration of his own ignorance. "Mara, Lieutenant Commander Hale," he corrected himself, voice unsteady. "Your file didn't specify." "It wasn't meant to, sir," she replied. Her tone held no anger, only discipline. "Some service belongs to the mission, not the record." A younger lieutenant, wide-eyed, whispered to another, "Is she JSOC, or—" But the rest of the sentence died before forming. Rourke attempted to recover his authority. "Your numbers, those operations, those would classify you as—" "Someone who did what she was ordered to do," she said quietly. And that was the turning point. For the first time in a long while, the Admiral recognized what true leadership looked like. It wasn't the loudest voice, it wasn't the longest list of medals, and it certainly wasn't the arrogance to mock those beneath him. Leadership was restraint, precision, the ability to carry impossible burdens without needing applause. He took a breath, then spoke the words no one expected. "Lieutenant Commander Hale, I owe you an apology. My comment was inappropriate." The room tensed. Admirals didn't apologize. Admirals never apologized. But Rourke continued, "You have served this nation in ways most of us will never understand, and you deserve the respect of this room." Mara nodded once, acknowledging the apology without exploiting it. "Thank you, sir. Respect isn't owed to me, it's owed to the uniform." Her words hit harder than any statistic. The officers around her stood taller. The atmosphere shifted from discomfort to respect, a deep, silent understanding that they were standing in the presence of someone who had earned her place in blood and discipline. And the moral settled over the room like a dawn breaking. Arrogance mocks strengths it does not recognize. Wisdom bows to them.
Years passed. The USS Resolute would cycle through missions, storms, deployments, and crew rotations, but one story remained constant. It began as a rumor, grew into a whispered lesson, and eventually became an unofficial part of the ship's identity. New sailors heard it during night shifts. Pilots repeated it in ready rooms. Chiefs invoked it during mentorship talks. Remember the day Admiral Rourke asked the quiet officer about her kill count? The one he thought was a joke, and she answered with numbers that belonged to legends? It became a reminder carved into the culture of the carrier. Never assume silence means weakness. Never treat humility as emptiness. And never underestimate the warriors who wear their scars on the inside. Mara Hale herself rose steadily through the ranks, not because of her past, but because of her conduct after that moment. Her reputation became bigger than her missions, a symbol of precision, discipline, and the rare courage to never speak more than necessary. Years later, during a leadership symposium, a young officer asked her, "Commander Hale, with everything you've done, why do you never talk about it? Why stay silent when others boast?" Mara gave him the same calm look she'd given an admiral years before, and replied, "Because the dead don't need stories, and the living need humility." That line would travel across the fleet, quoted in training manuals, classrooms, and even carved into plaques, a reminder that true power never demands respect, it earns it quietly.